Chapter 1, The Invisible Wall. Welcome to Synapse Daily. The year was 1980. The Cold War was frozen solid. Information was the ultimate weapon. The CIA knew this very well. They created a secret digital archive. It was called the Final Tech Archive. It tracked every piece of stolen technology. The Soviets were desperate for microchips. They could not build them alone. So they started stealing them. The CIA let them steal, but the tech was compromised. Every chip had a hidden flaw. This was the first cyber war. It happened before the internet existed. We are peeling back the seal today. The truth is hidden in Langley. Let us enter the vault. The vault is cold and dark. It contains thousands of magnetic tapes. These tapes hold the world's fate. In 1980, the gap was widening. The West had the silicon advantage. The East had a massive spy network. The CIA watched the shadow play. They mapped every Soviet move. They knew which factory was empty. They knew which scientist was failing. The Final Tech Archive was born here. It was a database of deception. It listed every fake blueprint sent. It listed every rigged machine sold. The Soviets thought they were catching up, but they were actually running into a wall. A wall made of invisible code. A wall built by American engineers. The archive remains mostly classified today. Only fragments have reached the public. We are looking at those fragments. Imagine a world of total surveillance. No satellites were safe from eyes. No phone line was truly private. The 1980s were a digital minefield. One wrong calculation meant total ruin. The CIA held the map. The Soviets were walking blind. This is the story of that map. Chapter 2, Operation Farewell. A man named Vladimir Vetrov emerged. He was a high-ranking KGB officer. He worked for the internal Line X. French intelligence gave him a codename. They called him Farewell. Vetrov was tired of the Soviet system. He saw the corruption and total decay. He decided to burn it all down. Vetrov began photographing secret documents at night. He used a small, hidden Minix camera. He met agents in dark Moscow parks. He passed film inside old bread baskets. He handed over 4,000 secret pages. These papers revealed the entire spy unit. Line X was a dedicated tech theft machine. Their only job was stealing Western secrets. They targeted Boeing, IBM, and Intel labs. They had a massive list of needed hardware. The CIA received the Farewell Dossier. They did not stop the thefts. They saw a much bigger opportunity here. They practiced deception operations on the KGB. They fed the KGB flawed, poisoned designs. The Soviets thought they were winning. In reality, they were building digital junk. The archive documents every single fake blueprint. Every stolen plan had a logic bug. The scale of the lie was massive. It crippled the Soviet military machine forever. Vetrov risked his life every single day. He lived in a world of shadows. He died before he saw the results, but he destroyed the KGB's tech dream. The CIA studied his every single word. They realized the Soviets were truly desperate. The USSR could no longer innovate alone. They could only copy Western ideas. The CIA simply gave them bad ink. He was the ghost in their machine. Chapter 3, The Pipeline Inferno. The most famous case involves natural gas. The Soviets built a massive, long pipeline. It stretched across the frozen Siberian wilderness. It was the pride of Soviet energy. They needed complex, automated control systems. The United States officially refused the sale. The KGB stole the specific software. They stole it from a Canadian firm. The CIA knew they would steal it. They programmed a logic bomb inside. A logic bomb is hidden, malicious code. It waits for a specific digital trigger. The software worked perfectly for many months. The Soviet engineers were very proud. Then, the hidden code finally woke up. The pressure started to rise very fast. Valve settings changed without any warning. Safety systems were disabled by the code. The sensors reported that everything was normal, but the pressure kept climbing much higher. The steel pipes could not hold. A massive explosion rocked the silent wilderness. It was a terrifying, orange-red sight. It was the largest non-nuclear blast ever. The flash was visible from high orbit. American satellites recorded the massive fire. The White House watched the data flow. No one died in the remote blast. The area was empty of human life. But the Soviet economy was instantly shattered. They lost billions of dollars that night. Their energy dreams went up in smoke. The Final Tech Archive records this event. It lists the specific code strings used. It shows how the bomb actually worked. It was a true masterpiece of sabotage. The Soviets never trusted Western chips again. They became paranoid of every single circuit. That was the CIA's true goal. Chapter 4: The Silicon Trap. Silicon Valley was a frontline battleground. The CIA turned factories into traps. They created ghost companies in California. These companies looked like normal startups. They advertised high-tech cooling systems. The KGB agents were very interested. They sent businessmen to buy them. These men were actually high-level spies. The CIA sold them the systems. But the systems had secret transmitters. Every time the machine turned on, it talked to IT, sent data back to Langley. The CIA heard the Soviet laboratory. They heard the engineers complaining. They knew exactly what Russia lacked. The archive calls this the Silicon Trap. It was a game of mirrors. The Soviets stole advanced radar tech. The tech was designed to fail. It would ignore American fighter jets. IT would only see friendly planes. Imagine a radar that is blind. That is what the Soviets bought. They spent millions on useless metal. The CIA watched them waste time. Time was the most valuable resource. The USSR was running out of it. Their computers were 10 years behind. Their factories were becoming museums. The Silicon Trap was a slow poison. It didn't kill with a bang. IT killed with a whimper. The archive lists every rigged part. IT lists every fooled agent. The trap was perfectly executed. Chapter 5: The Mainframe Sabotage. The Soviets needed powerful mainframe computers. IBM was the gold standard in 1980. The KGB created Line X front companies. These companies operated in neutral European cities. They tried to buy the IBM 360. The CIA saw every single purchase order. They did not block the sales. They performed surgical hardware modifications instead. The CIA technicians opened the processors. They weakened the gold connections inside. They added microscopic thermal triggers to boards. The computers worked fine at first. They passed all the initial Soviet tests. But they failed under heavy loads. Calculations for nuclear trajectories became flawed. The math was off by decimals. In rocketry, decimals mean life or death. The Soviet scientists were completely baffled. They checked their own work 10 times. They never suspected the silicon itself. The Final Tech Archive lists these units. It shows the serial numbers of sabotage. The Soviets bought broken brains. Their empire relied on these false numbers. The deception was deep and quiet. Chapter 6: The Marine Propulsion Mystery. The ocean was a silent battlefield. Soviet submarines were once very noisy. Western sonar could hear them easily. The Soviets needed to be quiet. They targeted the Toshiba Corporation in Japan. They wanted advanced milling machines for propellers. These machines could carve smooth metal blades. The CIA tracked the illegal sale. They allowed the machines to reach Moscow. But the software had a hidden wobble. The propellers looked perfect to the eye. However, they created a specific vibration. This vibration was a digital fingerprint. The US Navy tuned their sonar. They looked for this exact frequency. The quiet Soviet subs were now loud. They were loud to American ears only. The Soviets felt safe in the deep, but they did not know they were tracked. The archive details the Toshiba incident. It shows how the code was warped. The hunter became the hunted. The seafloor held many secrets. The CIA owned the acoustic map. Chapter 7: The Biotechnology Race. The Cold War was not just metal. It was also about DNA and viruses. The Soviets wanted advanced Western lab tech. They stole designs for high-speed centrifuges. The CIA ensured the bearings were weak. The machines would spin for weeks, then, they would shatter at peak speed. Years of biological research were lost. Samples were destroyed in an instant. The Final Tech Archive tracks these labs. It mentions Biopreparat, the secret agency. The Soviets tried to clone Western medicines. They received engineered chemical formulas instead. The formulas produced inert, useless liquids. The CIA stole Soviet medicine for years. This was a war of biology. It was fought in petri dishes. The archive holds the fake formulas used. It was a cold, calculated strategy. Science was a weapon of mass distraction. The Soviets chased ghosts in the lab. Chapter 8: The Satellite Shadow. The sky was filled with prying eyes. The Soviets struggled with digital imaging. They still used film canisters in space. They had to drop them to Earth. They tried to steal American CCD sensors. The CIA leaked a flawed sensor design. The sensors worked in low light, but they blurred when moving fast. Soviet spy satellites became nearly blind. They saw blurry shapes, not tanks. The Kremlin thought their tech was elite. The images look like abstract art. The final tech archive stores these images. It shows what the Soviets actually saw. They saw exactly what the CIA wanted. Decoy bases were built in the desert. The blind satellites reported massive armies. The USSR moved troops to nowhere. They wasted fuel and precious time. The Silicon Curtain was in orbit. The stars were watching the lie. Chapter 9: The Fiber Optic Trap. Communication was the backbone of power. The Soviets moved toward fiber optic cables. These were harder to tap than copper. The CIA anticipated this technological shift. They assisted a European supplier's shipment. The glass fibers had microscopic leak points. Light would scatter at specific angles. The CIA built special underwater ears. These ears caught the scattered light. They decoded the Soviet secret messages. The Soviets thought their lines were secure. They discussed high-level military secrets freely. The CIA listened to every word. The archive calls this Project Glass Eye. It was the ultimate wiretap. It didn't even need a wire. The Soviets talked into the void. The US heard the entire conversation. It was the greatest intelligence harvest. The archive stores the translated transcripts. Silence was no longer a shield. Chapter 10: The Global Export Bans. The world was a giant chessboard. The CIA controlled the important pieces. They used a group called Codename. Codename decided who bought which tech. It was a secret, powerful committee. They banned high-end computers for Moscow. The Soviets tried to bypass these bans. They used neutral countries like Sweden. They used shadow companies in Austria. The CIA watched these neutral deals. They allowed some sales to happen. But these sales were carefully tracked. Every machine had a kill switch. The archive calls this the global lock. If a war started, machines died. The CIA could freeze the Soviet economy. They just needed to send a signal. The signal would travel via radio. It would disable every stolen computer. The Soviets were building on quicksand. Their infrastructure was a ticking bomb. The archive lists every locked device. The bans were a digital noose. Chapter 11: Economic Warfare. Money was the fuel of the war. The Soviets needed Western currency. They sold oil, gas, and gold. The CIA targeted their accounting software. The KGB stole advanced banking programs. These programs had hidden math errors. They slowly drained small amounts of money. Millions of rubles simply vanished. The Soviet bureaucrats blamed each other. Paranoia spread through the Kremlin halls. Internal audits found nothing but ghosts. The final tech archive documents this. It was a bloodless economic strike. The USSR was bleeding from within. They couldn't fund their own army. Their grain silos remained empty. The software said the silos were full. The people started to get hungry. Hunger is a powerful political weapon. The CIA used code to starve them. The archive holds the distorted ledgers. Chapter 12: The Legacy of Silence. The Berlin Wall eventually fell down. The Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. Many think it was only politics. The archive tells a different story. It was a technological heart attack. The stolen tech finally stopped working. The final tech archive was then sealed. The CIA moved the files to Langley. They remain under high security today. Why are they still secret now? The methods are still very effective. Modern cyber warfare uses these lessons. Stuxnet was a child of this era. The logic bomb is still alive. We live in a world of traps. Your phone might have a shadow, your laptop might have a secret. The 1980s never truly ended. The archive is a blueprint for today. History is a repeating digital loop. Chapter 13: The Final Conclusion. We have reached the vault's end. The 1980s were a brilliant lie. The CIA played a long game. They let the Soviets win the race, but the finish line was a cliff. The final tech archive is the map.it shows how to kill an empire. You don't need many nuclear bombs, you only need a few bugs. Accuracy was the first victim of war. Then, the Soviet Union followed it. Thank you for joining Synapse Daily. We explore the shadows of history. The truth is often codenamed. Keep your eyes on the screen, but watch the chips inside it. The past is always watching you. Until next time, stay curious. The archive remains sealed for now.